Hope all is well. Branded, ready. Look, live session, first live session like this. Amazing. Cool. So we've got Vanguard Development all the way from the US, who is a US based developer, interior designer, construction worker. Oleksii, Oleksii is turning up, who is the director of Vanguard Developments, and we should be talking about how he does things in the US. He also does developments up in the European countries and in Africa. So it should be good to talk about all of those, of how he manages that sitting all the way in the US. So should be good. How's Proskin? How's it going? How's Proskin? Hope all's well. Thank you for being the first viewer to tune in. So as I mentioned, we're going to be speaking to Vanguard Developments. Business is good, can't complain. It's progressing slowly but surely. It's all good. And yourself, how's life? How's things? How's business for you? Cool. Sorry. I don't know where my guest is, but he should be here because we just spoke a minute ago. KSU MIK Macli. Hope all's well. Here we go. We've got Vanguard here. Yep, competition is always healthy. If there's no competition, man, there's no point. There's no point in that. But it's good.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
My apologies. I'm not the best tech savvy.
It's all right. How's things?
Gradually getting used to being a celebrity.
I like it. I like it.
It's been tough.
Well, things are like that.
Nice seeing you, Murtaza.
Oleksii, thank you so much for turning up. Thank you so much for turning up and accepting my invitation.
The pleasure is all
I just
mine.
want to let you know that when I contacted Oleksii, he mentioned that we first have a phone call, and I need to persuade him to get on here and speak to him. And what am I going to speak about? So really glad that you finally made it after my persuasion. I like it. You know, this is what it's about. I do these live sessions for people to come on here, share the positivity, share their knowledge with people, with business people, with employees, you know, wherever they are in the world, whatever they're doing. Just come out here and share what you do, how you do it, your career, your life. You know, we spoke about it on the phone, but I want you to tell the world of who you are and what you do. So let's go ahead.
Am I supposed to answer already?
Oleksii?
Can you hear me?
Yep, all well. So as I was saying, before we start the conversation, please give your introduction as to who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Oleksii Klemenko, and I'm a humble owner of Vanguard Development. Also blessed to manage this wonderful team, and there are many other aspects to my character, but we only have 30 minutes. So let's just stay focused on my main business, which is interior and architecture.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oleksii, before I start, what I wanted to ask you is, you're into this architectural design, construction, interior design, all that kind of business, dealing with it up in the US. working your ways to countries in Africa, countries in Europe. You know, you're sitting in the US and managing all these projects that you have. When you were young or going to school, college, university, all that kind of stuff, did you ever think that you were going to become an architect or running your own development firm? Did you always have that in you, or you decided? I mean, me coming from an Asian background, right? Our parents always have that set in mind that my son's going to become a doctor. Even before we are born, he's going to become a doctor, he's going to become a lawyer, you know, all that kind of stuff. So did you have that peer pressure from your parents, or you had your set mind that, okay, I want to become something else in life, you know?
Well, I definitely support the notion that parents should not pressure their children
Yep.
when finding their mission. And in fact, it was this very
Yep.
famous philosopher called Karl Marx who said that people have two
Okay.
events in their life that they have no control of, which is birth and death, and two events in their life that only
Absolutely.
they must have control of, which is choosing their loved one and choosing their mission or occupation. And my parents, I
Absolutely.
think, were wise enough to recognize that. So I never felt any pressure, and they supported me pretty much in any choice of mine throughout my life. And even if they
That's
did,
good.
they just said, well, whatever makes you happy. And so, yeah.
Absolutely. So did you always think that you wanted to get into construction and development, like property was your thing, or
Not really.
what? So
No,
what was your
there
thing?
was
What did
a
you want to?
there was I actually came from the business background as well as from marketing and advertising
Sure.
background. When we spoke,
Okay.
I and please forgive me, as a Steve Jobs of our company, which so to me it's mainly about strategy, about seeing where we are
Yep.
going, how we are developing, et cetera. What are the new niches, new
Yep.
markets?
Yep.
And so I came from
Absolutely.
advertising, as well as political advertising background, and marketing, and um, uh, the way we started is that we felt like we wanted to just have some investments, and it was back in Ukraine in 2004. So we started from buying properties, redesigning them, and then selling. And this is when I realized that it's actually meaningful. It's about creating something and then leaving some legacy behind. And then I just chose
Absolutely.
to expand this legacy on a much on a much bigger scale, and therefore we believe we have this mission. In addition to just hopefully being talented and successful, the mission is creating dream homes that
Of
change
course.
people's lives, or creating life-changing dream homes.
Of
And
course.
so what I guess this is what makes us tick, this idea
Uh,
that we can really change someone's life, and then
of course. It's all
witnessing the
about,
change over years. And
you know, me coming from a property agent's background, you know, selling lots of properties, renting out lots of properties over the years in London, you know, in the UK. And I see how people's lives have transformed owning real estate. Either it be one, or it be 10, or it be a whole portfolio of 100 properties. You know, you just see that transformation in people's lives, how they change and how change for the better, you know, because property is one of those assets that just keeps rising always. Um, so you mentioned
it's
that
not
you,
even
yep,
about it's not even sorry for interrupting.
yep,
Yeah. It's not even about the cost of the property. I wish everyone recognized how important this dream home is, or home sweet home. Not necessarily very expensive. You just really need to love the place you are coming back every evening.
of
Not
course,
to hate it or just be okay with it. You really want to look forward to coming back home. And
of course,
in my view, this is the wisest. And again, coming back to investment, yes, this is the one of the wisest investments, in my view, that uh, um, you can create in your life, creating this foundation of your love, of your happiness, of your, and your success. And sadly enough, not everyone is persuaded, and then maybe for this reason they keep living this average life versus remarkable and successful life. They don't have these home sweet home behind their
Of
backs.
course, of course. You mentioned that you were in
Yeah.
Ukraine when you started in 2004, and now you're in the US doing what you did in Ukraine. How did that transition happen
Yeah.
between Ukraine and going to the US? Why did you choose to go to the US? Have I asked you a political
Well,
question out here?
two reasons. No, two reasons. One of them is that we hit a pretty painful real estate crisis in 2008,
Okay.
possibly the worst on this planet, and it was no longer profitable to
Sure.
stay on this market of investing, flipping and selling, as well as I just felt like these countries too cramped, so to speak, too cluttered, too small
You mean
for.
overpopulated, you mean?
No. It's just we deserved so much better.
Okay.
The talent of the team and the potential that we came up with. I felt like we needed to conquer new markets,
Of course.
I briefly visited US in 2008. Met with a couple of fellows designers. They were kind enough to actually meet with me. I'm still surprised. I wouldn't.
Sure.
And we had this. I'm kidding. Probably I will. Just I need to pass this positivity
Of course.
to others, and they shared their experience and observation about the market. And this is when I realized that we have some pretty interesting potential. Mainly because the way we design properties is that we use this 3D technology, computer-generated images, so we call them true-to-life images, which in my
Yep.
view is how it needs to be done. In fact, we have a mission, which is creating life-changing homes, and we have a tagline, design as it should be. And so we tried to design our business on all levels and aspects of it in a way that we would
Of
sincerely
course.
think that we would hire these guys if we were the clients. And one of the key distinctions is that it's just obvious that a client wants to see their future property
A visual. Of
very
course.
clearly before committing to many thousands, dozens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands of dollars of investments. You don't want to be
Yep.
surprised, let alone negatively surprised at the end of the project
Yep.
when you realize that your beautiful is very different from the professional's beautiful, the one that you hired, and
Of
so
course.
it was obvious that they were not doing this business in this way, and to the day they're still not doing it. While we had a very talented team that was already, so to speak, well rehearsed, and it was wise to export this experience and talent to the country that I felt
Yep.
needed this approach. And in fact, again, and I'm done talking. One of the keys of success, in my view, in countries like UK or US is, as they call it, there are no problems in the USA. Once you find a problem, you become a millionaire. So
Of course.
that was something that I felt was missing in this
Yep.
market, and
Yep.
hoping to change this market for better.
And when you say that you've gone out and you're trying to change the way how people look at properties or how people go ahead and develop that properties, what is that change that you're offering these clients?
Well, I sincerely believe that our main advantage is talent and experience.
Yep.
And hopefully our portfolio speaks for itself. But it is also about certainty. It's also about peace of mind. It's also about this evident business-like approach that you want to be sure
Of course.
about what you're going to get at the end
Yep.
before committing to investment. Otherwise, you are for lack of a better word, you're jumping of a cliff without a parachute.
Yep.
And likely this is your first jump, because an average client, at least our client, never committed to such extensive renovation. It may
Yep.
be
Yep.
they could possibly paint walls,
Yep.
or they could possibly
But they
assemble
but they
furniture.
but they wouldn't be able to put a steel beam and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's not easy to put all of that stuff in.
An average room, and that is construction put aside, rough plumbing, rough framing, even that put aside. An average room is at least 20, 25 items if you start
Yep.
thinking about it.
Yep.
Rug, pillows, bed, side tables, side lamps, wall moldings, wallpapers,
The paint
paint,
of the
etc.,
wall.
etc.
Yep.
And so
Yep. Yep.
it's at least 20 decisions that you need to make collectively. It's impossible
Wow.
that being said, it's impossible to design a perfect room without really visualizing it. You are pretty
Of
much
course.
playing blindfold chesses. If even I'm incapable of imagining more than 3 different choices collectively. Like if I have 4 different beds, 5 different rugs, and 3 different wallpapers, that is how many? 3 and 4, 12, 60 possible combinations.
Wow.
60.
Wow.
And so how would you go about choosing these without actually seeing it?
Of course.
And that is just buying. I didn't even mention, again, wallpapering, moldings, when you actually have to construct, complete the job, and then maybe realize that, not that good.
It's not working.
Yeah, and hence all the stress and overspending, and then it's common. And again, just like I said, they're still doing this in this old-fashioned way
Of
for
course.
many reasons. And it's not uncommon to re-wallpaper once everything is done, because you realize it doesn't work. To replace furniture, to replace lighting, etc., etc.
Yep.
Because for you, this is just like a one-time try. You try it, you see once it's realized, and then you maybe come to a conclusion that it's not the best, or even bad.
Of course.
And then you have
And
to change it. And
how do you take these different combinations and show them to the client to visualize how they are going to be looking when they develop or refurbish their home? What sort of visual sort of tools you take with you to show them this combination?
Well, again, we will certainly use certain software, and mainly 3D Max. But as I like to answer this question, our main software is talent and experience.
Yep.
Because you can have all these tools, you still won't be able to do anything tasteful.
You won't be able to
But
deliver them if you don't have the right talent and the right experience to
yes,
deliver that product.
yeah. So 3 things that I think distinguish us. Again, first is talent and experience. Second is this unique technology and ability to actually create such exceptionally realistic images, so that you really don't have to guess behind some maybe blurry,
Yep.
low quality SketchUps or whatever. You clearly see the final result, and
Of course.
this unique database of 3D models that we were able to create over years. So think of anything from the lowest levels like IKEA to the highest level of, say, Baker furniture. And we'll likely have
Yep.
up to 50% of what they sell already in 3D models. We carry this unique
Wow.
library of maybe 40, maybe 50,000 models
Wow.
of anything you can potentially buy on this planet. And if we don't have it, then we will create it for a specific project. Hence, every project brings even more to this library. That's why we call these images true to. It's not just realistic, so that you don't really understand that it's not real, but also these are all actual
Yep.
items. This is when we make all furnishing and finishing decisions in the safest possible way for our clients. And then, as we call it, once it's installed, then the installation phase, which otherwise is the most stressful and the most exhausting process, becomes a pretty easy step of just replicating what you already designed, because you already made all the decisions.
Of
And
course.
so the installation then abides, as we call it, to this paradigm of what I see is what I get. And again, that becomes so straightforward for our clients. All the choices, all the ideas, all the experiments are accomplished during the design phase. This is when all the risk is eliminated. And then you just have to do it.
And one more thing, because you come from that background of developing, constructing, interior designing, and you must have this a lot of times, that you have your client who visualizes something that he wants in his house, that he wants done in his house, but for some reason you think that it will not look good in that particular environment. How do you sort of speak with them in terms of possibly persuading them to go with what you want rather than what they want? Because you are seeing it from a developer's point of view, that it's not going to judge the interior or the design of this particular property. How do you come about that?
Well, as much as I want sometimes, occasionally, to say, please forgive me, but your taste sucks, I cannot afford doing this. A, and B, we sincerely believe that there is no such thing as well, exceptionally bad taste, so to speak. Every person has its own, or his or her own taste, and the way we see our goal and mission is to give them what they want to have through showing different ways, sometimes politely and softly persuading them, but definitely not imposing our taste, because our tastes are different from them, and we are creating their home, not our home.
Of course.
In 99% of the projects, we are able to politely and softly, but also persistently, push their clients towards a much better result. It's not uncommon to hear, I never thought. Are you with me?
Yep.
So it's not uncommon for us to hear feedbacks like, I never thought I loved black. But again, at the end of the day, so the way we see our mission is that we always have to give them options. We first have to learn their taste. Then we need to make an effort to kind of develop it in a tastier direction, the way we feel it. But we still are only supposed, and this is what we keep reminding ourselves before each submission, that it's about them, it's about their home. We will not be the ones to reside at this property. So we only can develop several different options, which we always do. So it's not just beautiful and exceptionally realistic, it's also about options. Again, our tagline is design as it should be. So it's fair to say that if we want to design as it should be, you need to give your client options. So we give them options, and then we always step back and we say, you choose. If you need to know our opinion, please feel free to ask. But if not, these are the 5 options of your living room. Please imagine yourself in every given room, decide which room you want to be the most, and then give us additional feedback so that we can make it even better. At the end of the day, this is the process of tries, sometimes errors, revisions, and then you get to the result which makes them happy.
Absolutely. What's next in line for Vanguard Developments? I know you mentioned when we were on our call, you're doing developments up in Africa, in Nigeria. You're doing developments up in Europe. You're also doing it in the US. What's next? When is Vanguard Developments going to conquer the world?
Hopefully soon. we think we are positioned pretty well to conquer the world. I must say that conquering the world probably is not the only goal that I have in my life, so I'm trying to balance. Also reminding myself that we work to live, not we live to work. And so there always has to be balance. And again, there are other things that I'm trying to pursue in my life, which some of them are equally important to me. So again, earning all money on this planet will never be the goal, but certainly as a pretty competitive person with one of the principles, and I have several, one of them is never start a fight if you don't intend to win it. And since I started this fight 16 years ago, certainly being one of the, being a company that is one of the most respected on this planet is a goal. And so this is what we are doing on a daily basis. We wake up with this goal in mind and we go to bed with this goal in mind.
You know that the best place to develop a property is London, right? When are you doing your first?
Well, this is why we will need to talk separately, because I shared some ideas with you. I believe in signs and symbols. I think we met for a reason. So let's see where it leads us. There is again, we're not the biggest team. Maybe we will never be. I don't want to be this faceless corporation that eventually then pretty much eats itself, because this middle level becomes so mediocre that so we're still a pretty small team, and most likely will remain such. And for this reason, there is no intent to really conquer the entire world. We want just to find partners and clients that we're comfortable with working for years to come, because this is also about relationship. This is also about life again. You
absolutely
surrounded by people that you're comfortable with, and then just see how far it can go. We had, as I briefly mentioned to you, some very brief experience in the UK, and really we can do and design a project and install it in any country on this planet. But there is no specific goal that we need to conquer UK. Let's see where it leads us. This is a general approach to our business, and clients find us, and partners finds us pretty much on a daily, and then we see if we want to persuade this. But definitely, London and UK in general is an amazing market, and I'll be excited, and we will be thrilled to have projects there.
It's the best property market in the world. You can't beat London or the UK. You can't compare it to anywhere in the world.
I really don't have numbers, so I won't argue with you on that.
One of the hardships that people face in business is not meeting their clients' demands, or, not being in the ideal situation. Have you ever been in a situation which is not ideal? It can be with your clients, it can be with your employees, your team, your company. Have you ever come across that situation in life? And how did you overcome that situation?
Well, life in general is not a picnic on a beach, and you should expect some surprises and some issues. It's like hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and if you know how to prepare for the worst, then most likely you will be able to avoid it. So precaution and hopefully some wisdom is the best way to foresee potential problems and again avoid them. In our business, and that I think applies to almost every business, but this business probably in particular, because in my view, this is one of the most complex type of businesses and projects. A home improvement project or a commercial project, it's not just thousands of decisions, but it's also thousands of
Yeah.
people, occasionally randomly involved in this project. Like you just assemble a team for each particular project. This unique list of vendors, this unique list of contractors, they will never be assembled again. This is a pretty chaotic, so to speak, project, and again, so many people are involved on so many different levels. So it's just inevitable that mistakes will occur and problems will arise. It's impossible. There are so many people beyond your control and companies that it's a given. But in this business, and just like I said, almost in every other business, communication and setting the right expectations, no matter whom you are discussing these expectations with your team, with your vendors, with your clients, is a solution to 95, if not 99% of all problems. You just have to properly communicate.
Absolutely.
And being able to resolve whatever issues arise. They will arise. So your clients must be politely warned that there may be issues, just because we know we have been doing this for quite a while. B, under any circumstances, let's remain positive, civilized, and kind. And C, we will get everything solved. So there is no need to stress out. It's only an issue. These are our solutions to this issue, and let's move forward. And yeah, I must say that I don't really recall any terrible problems, at least within the last 5 or 6 years. You just have to properly communicate. You have to discuss everything in a professional and polite way. And
Absolutely. I mean, like you mentioned, communication is key to any relation. It be life, it be personal life, it be business life. But I was going to ask you that, possibly share some advice, but the whole conversation we've had has been great advice on how you've managed your business in terms of, moving from Ukraine to the US, all that kind of stuff. But before we wrap up this conversation, I always ask my guests that come on here to share some positive advice. We are going through a lot of negativity right now, especially in the US, of how things are moving right now. And, we went through 2 months of lockdown, COVID, all that kind of stuff. People lost their jobs, people lost their businesses, a lot of things that could be avoided happened in these 2 months, and a lot of people are suffering.
yeah.
I would only kindly ask you to share some positive advice, some positive energy that someone could take on board and be motivated for the life ahead in whatever they're doing.
Well, whatever happens, I tend to remind myself and other people surrounding me that at every given moment, it's not about past anymore, because it's already in the past and you cannot change it. It's about future, and it's partially about now. So whatever happened, sadly enough, it happened, and the only thing that you may take with you from this past is experience, in order to possibly avoid some mistakes in the future. But you should always be focused on the future. This way it will not distract you, the past, as well as any negativity and negative emotions, but stress in particular, is a huge distracting thing. You will not be able to accomplish anything successful if you are easily subjected to stress. You should be able to, again, focus on the future, focus on the solutions, focus on what's ahead, and remove all this distraction as much as possible. Yeah, easy said, I understand, but probably still the best
But
approach.
absolutely. I mean, we can only share what we feel about life, how we feel, and we can just give that advice and knowledge to people to get out of whatever negative frame of mind, stressful situation they're in, just to come out of that with any sort of positivity. But thank you so much for coming on, Oleksii. It's been a pleasure to have you, speaking to you about your journey from where you were to where you are today, running a successful development company in the US. I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for coming on, taking your time out.
Just wanted to add one more thing. I'm sure that it may not soothe everyone, and we are definitely going through some tough times. But
Sure.
again and again, crisis is always an opportunity. It's an opportunity for
Absolutely.
change, for growth. So again, we need to keep reminding ourselves this. And for those businessmen who are suffering, I again, because it's an opportunity, we also have to remind ourselves that the crisis is a perfect time to conquer markets because others retreat. And so conquering markets become significantly cheaper. It may be hard, it may be
Of course.
difficult, but this is what we need to focus on. Okay, we lost something in the past, but now in the future we have opportunities.
Yeah.
We have markets that are left by other competitors, and we never had such opportunity to conquer these markets for that cheap. And so again, this is just an example of how we may want to think. But it was my pleasure as well,
Absolutely.
and I will be looking forward to us reconnecting privately, and maybe looking for
Absolutely.
some ways to conquer the UK market.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll be there for you for whenever you want to come to the UK and you want to see properties and how to develop them and bring your idea to the UK. It'll be a pleasure to take you on board and discuss with you about whatever we can do together, however we can collaborate together. You know, it's all about bringing the people together and collaborating in whatever fields of life, whatever professions of life we're in. This is why I do these live sessions, you know. So thank you
Yeah,
so much for coming on and
my
spending
pleasure.
here.
Talk soon.
Take care.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye. Well, that was Oleksii, all the way from the US, director, CEO of Vanguard Developments, discussing on how they look at developing properties in the US, in the African continent, in the European continent, you know, how their strategies help homeowners decide of what designs, what procedures to take on board to get their best house possible to reside in. So thank you so much to Oleksii, and thank you to all the viewers that tuned in today. It's been a pleasure to see you. Tune in from Monday again, where I'll have more live sessions discussing knowledge from all kinds of businesses and sharing all the positivity. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye, and have a safe and amazing weekend. Take care, guys. And remember, BTH Properties. Always. Properties in London, get in contact.